And now, from West Hollywood, the town ranking just behind Crawford, Texas for the most alien-human hybrids, here's the host of the Brenda Carey Show and lover of all friendly aliens, Brenda Carey!
Hi everybody, welcome to the Brenda Carey Show. Today I'm going to be speaking with the State Section Director of MUFON LA. MUFON, or the Mutual UFO Network, is the oldest and largest UFO investigative group in the world. You're not going to want to miss this one. We might even show footage of that UFO you saw last night. Stay tuned. What drew you to become the state section leader of a group like MUFON?
That's a good question. One evening, it was about 9 o'clock, thereabouts, and I was on my rooftop deck looking towards the ocean. I see several things approaching me in a strange-looking craft, and there was a formation of 5, one in the middle, 2 on each side, perfectly silent. And as I watched them go from west to east, 3 of them separated very quickly and got about a mile separation, like instantaneously. In about a second, they had about a mile separation, and then a couple seconds later, the 2 that were left behind joined up in an instant, and then they were all gone.
Do you believe that people are really being abducted?
Good question. I do. Thousands and thousands of cases researched by folks like Dr. John Mack, who was a Harvard doctor of psychiatry. By happenstance, he started coming up against these cases again and again, and people started referring their patients to him. And most of these patients exhibited post-traumatic stress disorder, and his statement that I found fairly profound was that a lot of these people wanted him to tell them that they were crazy. They didn't want to believe that what they were recalling actually happened to them. They'd rather believe that they were just losing their mind. I mean, it's destructive.
It can
be. It can be very destructive if it's taken the wrong way.
And there are people who want to be abducted, who wish that they could be abducted, but for some reason it's not happening for them. But then there's these other people who never wanted such a thing to happen, and it became such a stressful thing. So it's interesting, you say certain people are chosen. It's like maybe they're not choosing the right people.
Yeah, well, there's a genetic component to it. It seems that there is a genetic component in that it occurs through generations in a family. So if you're an abductee, it's probable that your mother or your grandmother was an abductee. It travels through the line of a family, and we still don't understand why.
Well, it certainly makes sense if they're doing some sort of scientific studies that they would want to follow generations.
Sure. Yeah, you might decide, well, let's start a genome here and see how it permutates through the generations and where you end up with changes in environments. That might be as simple as that.
Now you say start a genome. I know that there has been some talk about some alien-human hybrids that may possibly be being created. What do you think about that?
I think it's, in the abduction scenario, that's certainly described as a recurring theme. So, in fact, that seems to be primarily part of the agenda, is that there is some sort of a hybrid program going on. The typical abductee is female. Usually she reports being impregnated in some way, and then round about the first trimester, at the end of the first trimester, she's taken back aboard, the fetus is removed. Then they're brought back to the ship, usually about 9 to 12 months later, to meet their child. And the child's usually listless, wispy white hair. It's always described the same way, very, very sickly looking. And they're made to hold the baby, and they're told, "This is your baby. Don't you love your baby?" They're giving suggestion, and they do feel an intense love for this child. They feel the connection, and somehow this is part of the raising of that child, or it's a component that the aliens can't inject. That connection between the mother and the child is something that they can't give the baby, and so they bring her on board to keep it going, I guess.
That's fascinating.
It's
so
strange.
These aliens don't have oxytocin, I guess. That's what we hear is the chemical that is the connective love chemical between a mother and child, and
I didn't know
also in romance. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, whenever these aliens do have a message, I know you're saying sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. What is the messages that you're hearing? Let's start with the positive.
Well, positive.
You're saying that there's messages about our environment. They're trying to help us in some way.
Well, they're
help us
always,
evolve.
yeah, I haven't come across any positive messages like you're doing great. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, mankind, you're doing
No.
good, you know, everything's good, keep going.
They were helpful.
Well, what they constantly tell the subjects is what you hear all the time, that we need to stop burning oil, we need to stop destroying our rainforest, we need to stop doing all these things. You know, we're bad stewards of this planet, that's clear.
Okay.
Nobody argues with that.
The whole universe knows about it.
Yeah, I guess the whole, yeah, exactly, you know. Clean up your
We're
mess.
the talk of the universe.
Right. So yeah, the general message is you need to clean up your mess now. A lot of times they're given images of the cataclysms that are about to come. Now, about when, I don't know. No one's given a firm date by the aliens that I know of. No one said, hey, it's going to happen on this day, there's going to be a huge earthquake. But they're given messages, or they're made to see scenes where people are running, and you know, I mean, it's not fun stuff. It's like, you know, the end is near kind of thing, you know.
Okay, so they're being given a foreboding warning.
Yes.
That this is what you need to do. You need to clean up your act, and this is the outcome if you don't. And so, are these things happening in the Los Angeles area?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So tell me about some recent cases in the Los Angeles area, if you will.
Glad you asked. The sightings have picked up like all over the United States. I mean,
Since when? When is...
Maybe about a year ago, things slowly started to pick up. But now, like for example, 3 years ago, it'd be maybe a month and you'd get a case, okay, or I'd get a report locally, and now it's like every day.
Wow.
Yeah, just about every day we're getting a sighting in the Los Angeles area.
At this point in the interview, I convinced Steve to share with us an actual MUFON case file.
Last evening at 10:20 p.m., I looked up and saw a huge triangle-shaped craft.
Holy shit! Straight up! Holy shit! Holy shit! What is it?
The triangle started tilting, and the lights remained on the ends of whatever was flying, so I could tell it was a single craft. I started screaming for my brother. Of course, he screamed some expletives.
What the fuck is that?
Still going. I still see it.
The lights on the end of the craft started crisscrossing and making very specific geometric shapes like a light should.
Oh, there
Suddenly,
it is.
the lights
Oh, wait.
started to go haywire, and the entire craft seemed to just change position and formation. I could swear on a stack of Bibles that what I saw was nothing but an alien craft. I've never seen a flying object of the shape or lights that color before. For what it's worth, I'm an attorney, and my partner is a radiation oncologist at a large Southern California university. In other words, we're normal, professional guys.
Such a stereotype out there about people who have seen UFOs or been involved in abductions.
Prior to 1947, there was sort of an open dialogue going on in our society about UFOs because it was brand new, and nobody thought to ridicule anybody about it. But there was a rash of these things going on all around the country. After July 1947, Roswell occurred. CIA was born around that time as well. And then there was something called Majestic 12, which was a board of scientists and leaders who had to come up with a way to deal with this information and what to do with it, you know. And so, unfortunately, it took a turn for secrecy and creating a disinformation campaign so that the public was made to kind of not look into it, you know. So what do? You know, before I had my sighting, you know, oh yeah, I saw a UFO. Okay, great, buddy. You know, put it up there with the ghost and Bigfoot.
Right.
So, you know, we're programmed to think that way, and I think we have to keep, you know, sort of evolve a little bit here. We have to really take a serious look at the information because there's so much of it out there, and take it as a serious subject.
The other night at the MUFON meeting, you were mentioning that there was a woman who had an experience recently here in the Los Angeles area
Right.
where she not only saw a craft, but she thinks she saw a being
Yeah.
walking through the forest. And can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. What she saw on 2 consecutive nights was a very large craft that flew over her house. She described it so bright, brighter than anything she'd ever seen, brighter than a football stadium, she said. And it landed in a forest probably about a quarter mile away from her home and lit up the forest. The first night, she thought it was hunters. She didn't see the craft itself. She thought it was hunters poaching in the forest, and she was very annoyed by that. You know, she's a nature lover and all that. And she called her neighbor down the road Mary, do you see, the lights? And Mary said, yeah, those poachers are back, And so they were, gabbing about it. Well, the next night, it was happening again about the same time. The light's going now over her house, and her dogs are barking. She goes out and sees this thing. And she describes it as floating like a large craft, kind of floating like a feather or like a leaf, like as if it was looking for a place to land. And it went down in the forest. And, of course, she's astonished by it. And then the light goes out. And she doesn't know what to think. Was it a helicopter? She doesn't know what to think. She goes inside. She's sitting there. She goes back to what she's doing, watching TV or what have you. Later on, her dog wanted to go out. She's a little bit afraid, but her dog wants to go out, So she opens the porch, the dog runs out, but then comes running back whimpering, crying. And she's like, what's going on? She looks out, and in her porch light, over by a tree, she sees this little being. And she describes the chin is very pointy, and the being as very small. And she could hear rustling in the bushes, so she thought that there was probably 2 or 3 others.
Watch which buttons you push. You might put us on the air.
That would be embarrassing.
Yes, it would. Quick! Put our public service announcement on.
Which one?
The one you created for NASA.
Okay.
Alien STDs, alien STDs, alien STDs, alien STDs. This week's alien STD is astro crabs. What? Alien STDs, alien STDs, alien STDs, alien STDs.
Straight up. Holy shit. Holy shit. What is it?
That's what I'm seeing.
What is it?
It looks like... No, but it looks like... Are you taking temperature right?
Yeah, it's recording.
It almost looks like a tiger. No,
What the hell was it?
This came out of nowhere, too. That was it.
What the fuck is that?
Still going. I still see it.
Let me get the movie camera.
God damn it.
It's gonna be gone.
That's it?
Okay, what the hell is that? Okay, I don't see it.
I see it.
Oh, there it is. Oh.